Good morning, good morning, good morning. Boy, it's toasty out here and it feels like summer immediately and the bees are loving it. So I'm outside having some coffee and watching bees. Yesterday, Steve and I were walking around and we noticed all this plant material that had been, it looked almost like ground up and was gathering or collecting on these leaves, and you can see that in the bottom of this frame. And in the top, you can see a plant stalk with a hole in it. And this is a goldenrod stalk. So I took you on a tour of this South Wildflower Garden in March, and you got to see all the stalks that we leave in here. And they're just from the plants, and so they're last year's stalks. Many of them tip over in the winds and the snows and the rains. And those that are near the edges, if they all flop into the trail, then we cut them with just some hand shears, and we leave a really good piece of it. I mean, I don't really think too much about it. I just chop to get it out of the path. But I know that I need to leave maybe a foot, 2 feet, and that opens up these plant stalks to bees. And so there's actually a bee coming out of there right now. Working on it? Yeah. All right. You coming back? This is so cool. So, the pith is just kind of the spongy part that a lot of different plants have. And goldenrod is one that a lot of bees use because they can get in there and chew with their mandibles and manipulate that pith. So this bee's in here excavating. And I believe these are small carpenter bees, not a bee expert, so check out a book. I'm going to show you one here in a minute. But they go in there, they excavate out that soft part, and then they'll lay an egg, provision their egg with the things that the egg needs to survive and turn into larva and an adult, and then they will use more of that pith and create a partition, and then create another cell or a brood cell. And they keep doing that for as long as they have until they get to the end of the stalk. And different bees use different things to plug the holes. So like orchard mason bees, I always see they have soil plugging the end of their hole. And from what I've read, small carpenter bees actually use their body. So they'll sit in there at the end and guard the eggs from predators. So cool. So by not taking these stalks down and by letting goldenrod, one of the most beneficial wildflowers to wildlife, grow in all of these different areas, we're getting all these native bees. Oh my gosh, it's thrilling. And Steve and I walked around here and there are these little piles of plant debris everywhere. And so I don't know, y'all. We want to help our native bees, and it's really that simple. So grow some native plants, let the goldenrods come in on their own, because you know they will eventually. Create some openings in them in the springtime before bee nesting season, and they'll eventually decompose in a couple years on their own, these stalks, which is awesome because then that prevents the buildup of diseases that's so common in those really big bee blocks and bee nest creation sites that we humans love to do because we want to help, but it seems like we're also doing some damage that way. So stalks seems to be the way to go. Here's the book that's helping me. Highly, highly recommend it if you're in this area. If you're not, there are others, I'm sure, for your area. And then just for the big picture, I'm sitting on the ground. This is that South Wildflower Garden that I showed you in March. And you can see there are stalks that I also didn't cut, because I really didn't cut that many, just the edges, which, well, I guess that probably still gave hundreds of nesting sites. But then there's others that are just standing. Woodpeckers still work on them. Pretty stinking cool. So go outside, take a look around. Let me know if you are seeing those native bees on your stalks. I just love that it's such a simple thing to do that's so helpful. Oh, that's perfect.